Hello, this is a group presentation for the class Introduction to Project Management for Information Technology, CST 700. The class's instructor is Dr. Molland. This is Group 5. Our project is about building extension phase 1. The presenters of this project are Bimbola Adelgiri, Cheryl Siddiq, Christian Purvis, Demetrius Chrysostom, Ikene Payosi, and myself, Donatus Domino.
This slide is basically focused around the agenda, which which is used in business meetings to outline main topics or key points that'll be addressed to keep the keep everything flowing on track. Our agenda is for the high text building extension, and basically it is used to as a personal tool to keep track of events, responsibilities, and deadlines in the future. Agendas ensures that permanent information concerning the issue is to be discussed and is passed to the participants in advance. Also, the agenda will give participants time to do their research and gather as much information and key points to the things that they need to do to make sure that everything in the agenda is tackled. So it's basically like a planner, it organizes everything so that the project can just flow rather easily without having so many difficulties or confusion throughout the whole project. For our project in particular, the high text building extension, our agenda, we have multiple agendas. Purpose of the project, that will be presented by Mr. Domino. The background of the topic of the project will be presented by Ms. Cheryl. The project schedule will be presented by Mr. Christian. The deliverables will be presented by Mr. Chisholm. The stakeholders and acceptance criteria will be presented by Mabola. The resource requirement and cost will be presented by Kristen, as well as the conclusion by Kristen, and the safety risk and risk migration will be presented by Ms. Biage. So these are basically just our main focus points and topics that will be discussed throughout the whole project. This is a very important piece for our project because it literally breaks down everything that will be talked about throughout our project. So it basically gives others from the outside kind of like a detailed schedule as to what they can expect from our project, how our project is going to be organized, how it's going to be ran, the purpose, etc. And going down to how we came together and conducted this project for the high text building extension. I believe that this was our project was really good and everything just followed schedule. It flowed and it's very organized and easy for someone from the outside to look in and see like, okay, based on their agenda, they're very organized and I can see how the project is well put together.
Hello, my name is Donatus Domino, CST 700 Project Management class. In this section, I'm going to talk about the purpose of the project. The project is building extension phase 1. So the overall purpose of this project is to design and construct an attached extension to the existing building owned by High-Tech Incorporated. This is in order to accommodate the expanding force. Then the project intends to get the new wing fully furnished before it is officially turned to the owner. This part of the project will handle only phase 1 of the entire project, which is laying down the foundation, building the frame of the building, install and test all electrical components of the building, install all the plumbing, and have the building inspected and certified by the city officials of Greensboro. The foundation will be in part the demarcation of the building and the support of the building itself. So the foundation is really a critical piece of this project. All engineering drawings, materials, and labor must be followed in order to have a very good foundation that will be able to support the building itself. Once this project is done, we'll help High Tech Incorporated to accommodate the expanding force and actually boost the morale of employees.
Good afternoon. My name is Cheryl Sadiq, and I want to give you the project background. High Tech Incorporated has been showing steady growth over the past years. Due to this growth, we need to increase personnel to satisfy the deficit found through the staffing model projection, and also to maintain high levels of customer satisfaction. In order to hire additional resources, High Tech Incorporated must increase limited building space to allow for more workstations, a larger lunch area, and creation of wellness break rooms. It was determined from the cost benefit analysis done for High Tech Incorporated that it was most effective to build an extension to the building rather than to relocate. The return on this investment for High Tech Incorporated shows significant increase to their bottom line profits as well as building goodwill between High Tech Incorporated's customers and employees.
Hello again. My name is Domino. Class is CST 700 Project Management class. In this section, we're going to talk about work breakdown structure. Our project, which is building extension phase 1, it's broken down into 5 different structures. There is a building foundation. Building foundation will take a contractor to clear the plot, to put down the bars and pour the concrete and give it a couple days for it to dry, and that will be the first phase of our project. We need a working foundation before anything else can take place. Then the second structure is the framed building. This part of the project includes framing the building. The contractor will frame the building, and then they will do the roof as well and assemble the whole frame ready for inside work. The next phase will be plumbing. Also, in this section, the plumber is a contractor. We lay down pipes, assemble all the pieces of plumbing, and they will need to coordinate with our next section, which is electrical. The electrician will use the contractor to do all the wiring, to do the grounding of the building, and they will work together with the plumber to make sure all the pipes are grounded for electrical shock. And also, they will work with the city to make sure the final phase of connecting to the city sewer is done. And the final phase of the work breakdown structure is audit. There's internal audit where our project manager will work through the site with all parties, plumbers, electricians, and builders to make sure everything is done per agreement. Then there'll be a city inspector who is come to inspect the building before they can issue a permit for occupants. And that's it for the work breakdown structures. Thank you.
This is Christian Purvis, and I will be presenting the project schedule. I will give an overview of the tasks and the milestones, starting with the first task, initial inspection. This task involves officials visiting the site in order to inspect and give the approval to build the extension. This is to be sure that there aren't things like power lines, sewers, or sidewalks on the site that would get in the way because legal restrictions are in place that prevents you from making changes that affect or restrict these utility lines, sewers, or sidewalks. After those tasks are completed, the first milestone, initial inspection, would be complete. On to the next tasks. They include clearing the plot and building the foundation. The subtasks within these tasks is basically clearing the ground, laying the metal bars, leveling the frame, and installing the concrete slab. The tasks are the most important to this project, being that it's the backbone of the entire thing. Once those tasks are completed, the second milestone, foundation approved, would be complete. The next set of tasks are installing the frame and the roof. The subtasks include building the walls and forming the roof to have the proper frame in place. Once these tasks are completed, the third milestone, frame is complete, would be completed. The next set are plumbing and wiring. In order to reach the fourth milestone, which is plumbing and wiring complete, the subtasks that involve installing water pipes, sewer pipes, and grounding rods must be done. The penultimate set of tasks are the inspection and audit. The project manager does an inspection of the place to make sure that everything meets the customer's requirements, and the city does an audit of the site to make sure that it meets the city's requirements. Once these tasks are done, then the fifth milestone, audit complete, is finished. That leads me to the last task, closing the project. In order to close the project manager must ensure that all work has been accomplished, all resources have been reassigned, and all documentation is complete. Then the final milestone, project completed, is done.
For deliverables, I had 5 different types. These types consist of building foundation, frame building, plumbing, electrical, and audit. And basically, it just breaks down the types of things that we need to make sure that the building will, function at its best. Of course, we were doing a high-tech building extension. So one of the deliverables are the building foundation, which A&T Construction Company will provide the proper materials to bear the load of the building. This is so, it can anchor it against natural forces such as earthquakes, tornadoes, etc. And it just isolates itself from the ground moisture. Another deliverable that I had here was frame building, and basically the frame building will be provided by A&T's engineers, who will conduct and shape the new extension with the tools provided from Lowe's warehouse. This is the framework which will be constructed by having the combination beam, the columns, the slab to resist the gravity and other lateral loads. Framing usually takes about 2 months. Sometimes it can go longer depending on the weather. The weather, if it's perfect weather, it can be on the close end of 2 months. But however, if it's a lot of bad weather, it can make things much longer. So just basically, it's kind of in a random time frame based off the weather and everything. Another building deliverable I had was plumbing. And basically the job of the plumbing will be to utilize the abilities to install pipes in the structure. With the proper equipment from Lowe's, they will introduce the funnels to the new building, the new pipes for the consumable water, the seepage, the water system, everything dealing with the water, the cleanings, everything, the filters, the filtration, everything is just through the plumbing, and it's just as different, as the plumbing. So without any problems with the process, this step should take roughly around a week to complete. It can take up to 2 weeks, but then again, that goes back to the weather. If the weather is perfect, then you'll see a faster pace of job work being done. I'm gonna move on to the electrical. The electrical part will be conducted by A&T architectural engineers, who basically their job is to wire the building so that there will be power for lights, appliances, computers, phones, etc. The material that will be used for this specific job is adhere to code specifications without any problems. This should take roughly about a week to complete. Electricians, they will work together with the plumbers to make sure that there are proper grounding for the entire building, so that all the electrical circuits breakers should flow easily. You know what I mean? So standards, all the outlets are wired properly. So just the electrical, basically they need plumbing to be good, so whereas everything is even, because they go hand in hand. The last but not least is the audit. The audit is like the city will do the audit of the structure site. The vendor must be aware that the city of Greensboro requires at least 2 days notification for the audit. However, they may make a surprise visit prior to the official scheduled date, but the city of Greensboro will definitely send a receiver to the site of the new working to analyze the site and check whether it's up to code. The inspection will either pass or bomb the structure depending on the discoveries. So this basically is just like a sum up of all the different types of deliverables that we have for our project, the high text building extension, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Bimbola Adebibi, and I'll be presenting on the stakeholders and acceptance criteria section. From the table, we can see a list of stakeholders. We have our client, High Tech Incorporate, who contacted us for an extension to his existing building in order to accommodate the company's growth and expand their workforce. We have our sponsor, Wonderberry, who together with our clients have agreed on a defined scope, have agreed to all our project designs, and we'll also have representatives to give updates of the project success. We have our project manager, Rennie Martinez, who will oversee the project and ensure we are always on track. We also have our architectural engineers that are involved in the construction. And lastly, we have our project team members comprised of Cheryl Sadiq, Christine Provis, Demetrius, Chisholm, Donatus Domino, Ekene Bilse, and myself. Moving on to acceptance criteria, since we are handling just the phase 1 of the entire project, we will ensure that the equipment and material needed for the project will be delivered on or before the start date, and the equipment to be delivered will be delivered with a bill of materials check, so that equipment can be accounted for and tracked whenever it is necessary. On foundation, since we know the importance of foundations to building, we'll ensure that a representative from the Rep Foundation Inspector Incorporate inspect our foundation upon completion in order to ensure that the 12 points of foundations are met. Some of these points to be met include proper and approved plans on site, the foundation levels, and waterproofing, among others. Also, we'll ensure that our finished frame building will be inspected by a certified inspector of frame building who happens to be our project manager, and she will ensure that it meets criteria such as approved plans for frame height, proper fastener types, among others. Then a certified plumber will be hired to inspect the plumbing job done, and he will confirm that criteria such as correct permit and approved plans, confirmed plumbing fixtures, installation requirements, among others, are met, because all these are needed. For the electrical, since it's a common practice for the state of North Carolina to send your own certified electrician, we will make arrangements with the city of Greensboro to have an inspector sent to the site to approve the general safety checklist, the wiring method, cable installation, electrical circuit breakers, and among others. And lastly, will ensure that the inspector from the city of Greensboro conducts the final inspection, and also together with the inspection audit will approve our project after confirming that all deliverables have been met. That will be all on stakeholders and acceptance criteria. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Christian Purvis, and I will be presenting the resource requirements and cost section. The following resource requirements are listed in the order in which they need to be completed to guarantee a successful project. If each resource requirement is not fulfilled and/or completed, then the project will not have a successful outcome. The first resource requirement, and I would say the most important, is the building's foundation. If the building's foundation is not done right, it will cause the building to fall. In order for this resource requirement to be fulfilled, the foundation's contractor must come in and clear the plot in which the building is being built on. Then the foundation bars must be put in place and the concrete slab must be poured. The cost of this amounts to $254,250 due to the amount of materials such as clay, sand, concrete, and wood that will be used, plus the amount it would take to pay the construction workers for the duration of the 4 weeks. The second resource requirement is framing the building. The contractors use the wood, metal, and other assembling accessories such as screws and so on in order to build the frame, including the roof. Building the frame costs a total of $11,500 after paying the workers for their services over the duration of 2 weeks. The third resource requirement is plumbing, where the plumbers begin the work of installing pipes, which will be necessary for the bathrooms, kitchens, etc. The total cost for the plumbing job is $20,000 over the duration of the 4 weeks the plumbers will need to do the job. The fourth resource requirement is wiring the building. This requires skilled electricians to come in and properly install the wires and cables so that the power can flow through the building as expected. The wiring costs a total of $35,520 based on how much each contractor will need to be paid for the work over the 4 weeks. The fifth and final resource requirement is the audit. A state-approved auditor will inspect the building and will either pass or fail the inspection based on the Code of Ethics. So, in summary, each resource requirement is dependent upon its predecessor, so it is essential that each requirement be completed correctly and on time to prevent any issues.
Hello everyone, my name is Biose Christian Ekene. I'll be talking about risk mitigation and safety rules related to this project, which is building an extension for iTech Incorporated. Every project, like we know, has its own risk, but what stops risk from turning into disaster is by finding possible mitigations to solve this risk or reduce the chances of occurrence. Some risks that are likely to occur in this project include accidents, which could be in form of collision, fire, spillage, vandalism, pollution, labor disputes, inconsistent cost. Possible mitigations for this risk should include thorough inspection, validations which should be carried out before, during and after the project to denote faults and solve them immediately. Safety rules, major safety rules while on site for this project could be like only authorized personnel should handle machineries, no pets or kids allowed on the project site, and all persons on project sites must be on full safety gears. This sums up the risk mitigation and safety rules for this project. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Cheryl Sadiq, and I'm here to give you the conclusion, which is a synopsis of the slides that preceded this one. So as you know, the purpose and background for this project was due to high-tech's need for additional space to hire more employees due to high demand for their services. The cost-benefit analysis suggested that building an extension on the existing building was most cost-efficient than moving or trying to construct a whole new building. We had a budget given to us of $350,000 to complete phase one of this project. We have an estimated project cost of $321,270, which covers the resource requirements to complete the building foundation, the building framing, plumbing, electrical, inspections, and audits. Deliverables and milestones were the building foundation to be completed by A&T Construction, the framed building to be completed by the A&T Architectural Engineering team, plumbing to have all materials received from Lowe's, the electrical to be completed by the A&T Architectural Engineers, and the inspections and audits to be completed by the City of Greensboro. We met with the stakeholders and looked at our safety, our risk, and our mitigation. And it was determined that given what we know of the weather conditions as trended in the Farmer's Almanac and the historical weather conditions data for Greensboro, that it appears to be a low risk of inclement weather during the time of this construction. And also, all stakeholders were involved to determine what other potential risks may present itself and how best to mitigate those. Safety rules were also established to ensure worker safety. Communication. It is important, paramount, that we have ongoing communication between the stakeholders. This would ensure that should any problem arise, we can mitigate that early on. There will be a conference call via WebEx for all stakeholders held twice weekly until building foundation and the framing are completed. After this time, WebEx calls will be scaled back to be once per week. The stakeholders involved in this project are the client, High Tech Incorporated. We have a sponsor, project manager, project team, a construction company, an architectural engineering company, and material suppliers to all make sure that this project is successfully completed. Once completed, our phase one, we're going to turn over that project to the phase two project team. Phase one will be determined as completed when all milestones are met, all audits and inspections are passed, and that the shareholders sign off, at which time the project team will mark the project complete. The project team will also create documentation for any lessons learned. And again, we will then turn over our notes to phase two project management. In conclusion, I would like to thank my team for all their hard work and investigation for bringing this project in front of you today. I'd like to thank our professor for her support, and I look forward to working on another project with you all again. Have a great evening. Good night.